Sorry, it's good, everybody. Welcome back to the ACS Universe. I am, of course, ACS, and sorry this is late. I know I'm a huge fan of this property of The Last of Us, the game, the show, all of the shit. Sorry it took so long for me to do like a season 1 review, but here we are. Had to get my time together and everything. But we got a couple people here to talk about the show with me. As you know, I already thought the show was incredible. I talked about it ad nauseum for fucking 2 or 3 months. But first thing, all right, give me just a second. All right, anyway, have a couple people here to talk about it, like I said, and first person coming in right now, Joey. What's good, homie?
What up, dude?
What is good? Appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Good. And making her first appearance on the ACS Universe, we got Jamie in the house. What's up?
Woo, woo. Hey, thanks for having me.
And definitely not his first appearance. Very familiar with the show. We got Phil in the house.
Just giving the royal wave.
He's shy.
Royal wave.
Yeah.
Right. Just me.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's my internet's acting kind of wonky. When I was trying to play some of
I
that
couldn't
stuff,
tell. When you froze, yeah, I couldn't tell.
Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah.
Nah, just a little bit. It's not too bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm like, yo, what the hell's going on?
A little bit. Don't lie to him. He froze for a good minute.
You're on a good pose, though. It was like...
Let me know if it freezes again, man. I might have to do some shit. But anyway, welcome.
Screenshot it. That's what I'll have to do.
Yeah, screenshot it and let everybody make fun of my internet. But anyway, you guys, welcome to The Last of Us Season 1 review. Like I said, been wanting to do this since the show ended, but haven't had time to sort of put this together and talk about it, even though I have thoughts and everything. Me and Jamie were on John's weekly review show after every single episode where we just like broke everything down, gave our thoughts and whatever. But I did plan on doing this throughout the season. Like, I'm going to do this review. I can do this review. I was like, yo, if I don't do it, it's either now or never. I didn't want it to be like 2 months after the show ended before we did this. So, but I appreciate y'all coming through, and let's talk about it, man. So first question. Let me ask you, Joey, your overall thoughts on the show, like from start to finish, just what you think about it.
I just, there's a lot, obviously, of expectations going into the show with, the two of us playing the games. And, I don't want to throw the word perfect around too much, but like, I'll get out ahead of it. I think it is at least a perfect season, because like, I haven't found any flaws with it. Like, is there stuff that maybe I wanted them to do differently? Sure. But like, I loved everything they did. Like, it was so well done. All the performances, the like production value, the way everything looked was just insane. And I sometimes think back to it must have been like last year, but we saw like the set photos and videos of the truck, like during the ambush and stuff.
Oh yeah. Right.
And there were a couple moments where we were like, I wonder if this is like, how this is going to be. Yeah. But like, I mean, it just, it killed it. Honestly, it was great. And, I think I might rewatch it soon, because it's just awesome. And, it's also hard to make something that perfect when it's already based on like a video game or whatever.
Yeah, hold on, let me put y'all's names up here. All right. Yeah, it's dope. It's incredible. I couldn't, if I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head that's this close of an adaptation that sort of killed it when it came to the heart and soul of what the original product was, and expanded on it in a way that sort of just made the universe bigger. So I can't wait for season 2 is going to be fucking incredible. All right, let's put it again. So, Jamie, what'd you think about it? Overall thoughts, The Last of Us.
Yeah, well, I had no expectations going in because I hadn't played the game, and I love The Walking Dead, so I just appreciate any sort of zombie apocalyptic sort of any apocalyptic series. So I had no expectations. I was just coming in hot, I guess. And I loved it. Every single episode, every week that we jumped on and chatted about it, I just said it keeps getting better. in series, there's a certain point in time, it's usually around 3, maybe 4, and it dips off. It's like, this becomes really crap. And then they pick up to get better, by 6 to get a finale at 8 or something like that. But this was every week. There was like one episode where I could probably say it was a bit shady, but every week was great. Every week there was good performances. The story flowed. Visually, it looked like a video game, I reckon, like on screen, but it looked like what you would see from a small screen playing the video game. So not that I've done that, but that's what I would picture. And I loved it.
Yeah. Nice. Phil, what'd you think, man?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was not also playing the video game. I played a little bit of it. I didn't quite finish it. It wasn't really my bag, but I feel like if I had any kind of like nitpick or gripe, it's a nothing burger. It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know. I mean, video game adaptations are always hard to do, and I feel like if you're gonna do it, you should do it 100%. And I feel like this is probably the one that's gotten it about 100% of any of the video game adaptations. I don't know. We're like 5 days away from a fucking Mario movie. We'll see how close that one gets.
Yeah.
But when it comes to The Last of Us, I know I'm a huge fan of Pedro Pascal. That was the go for me. I thought Bella Ramsey was fine as Ellie. I don't think she really looks anything like her, but then again, I guess that same case could probably be made for Pedro Pascal as Joel. I don't really that again, it's a nothing burger. It fucking doesn't matter. They were told from the go to like make it your own, and they did. Like this was a good show, and I liked watching it every week and even getting the insights from you two about it. Like that for me was a lot of fun. And I also enjoyed busting your balls about it by occasionally calling it terrible, even though I don't think it's terrible.
John in the house. What up, John? Sorry you couldn't make it, brother.
Yeah, I've already growled him off air. I was like, "What? You growled on me again?" Bloody hell.
John, she gonna fuck you up next time she's talking to you.
Remember when you wanted me on your stream? Well, guess what? I'm gonna take a rain check, motherfucker. Sorry, no stream.
No, you good. No, do you realize whose show you're on right now? I'm surprised I don't have fuck in neon letters back there. just because my mouth is pretty foul. But yeah, same thing you guys said. Overall thoughts. Look, man, this thing was when they announced it, it's a thing. It's been well talked about that this particular game, as soon as the game came out in June of 2013, the game hadn't been out a week, and it was already people like, this needs to be a movie, this needs to be a show. Like this, they've been talking about that shit since then. And so now that we've gotten to this point, when they announced it, I was like, okay. And then they announced the cast. I was like, okay. like these are some actors that I can that I can really get behind, because I've seen them in the past before, and they're incredible. And so when it came to this, it was like, wait a minute, the dude who directed the game is right. Oh, let's fucking go. Like, everybody involved with the game is involved in this, along with a couple of people from HBO and a couple of people who brought some. If you watched it, after each episode, they had the little short 2 or 3 minute behind the scenes things. If you watch those, you get more of a gist of like how dedicated they were to like making sure this game had a pure representation as far as live action goes. So they did the fucking thing, man. And man, I have watched each episode at least 3 times, and it's like, I can never find something that I find to be super wrong with it, or something that I'm just like, well, why the fuck did they do that? It's like, and a good job they did was, after each episode, when they did the little post-episode behind-the-scenes things, they pretty much explained why changes were made from the game. They told you exactly why in an understandable way, where you're just not like, well, that fucking sucks. Because they literally said, well, to try to do this, to try to do that. I think one of the best ones is the bloater. Even though they did have an on-set bloater, they ended up having to go with a CG one, because the on-set one, the suit was too whatever. Yeah. And they couldn't like throw people the way they wanted it to throw, like the game does. Yeah. Which is how Perry goes out, which is
dude.
It's fucking incredible. So yeah, overall, look, I'll tell you what, the fact that I'm doing this The Last of Us Season 1 review I thought it was fire. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, else I wouldn't be doing it. So that's where that is, man. But so let me ask you guys, man, favorite performance / character. And it could be two different ones. Could be two different ones, man. Could be two different ones. I mean, it's sort of like one of my favorite performances for me, Bella Ramsey, was fire. But Offerman, bruh.
Yeah.
Offerman was killing it. But as a character, Joel in this might have been my favorite just because you get sort of a glimpses of him along the season, but when you get to the last episode in the hospital, bruh.
Yep.
So Jamie, what do you got? Favorite performance / character?
Yeah, I was trying to be really sensible about this when you told me, and I was like, favorite character? Come on, Anthony. Come on. Daddy's in this, man. Come on. Anyway, so I got serious about it, and I thought what I really wanted to say, and it was a scene with Joel. Mm-hmm. It was the moment in Kin when he was talking with Tommy and he was breaking down how he felt. I thought that whole entire scene was just perfect. Like, I've talked about this before with you guys on the channel, that like masculinity or like this badass top dog man leading the pack is always in the forefront of series or movies or whatnot, like Rick in The Walking Dead. But it's not often that they break down that they're weak, that they feel scared, all these emotions that really men do feel, and they never ever, well, in things that I watch anyway, never really get expressed, never really get put on screen. So I appreciated seeing Joel, who was this character who had no emotion through the whole thing. You know, he was really trying to hold everything in and everything together to be a parent, in quotations. And then seeing him with somebody that he was completely comfortable with, just saying, I'm weak and I keep failing. Even in my dreams, I fail. Like, that was heartbreaking, man. But at the same time, it was so good to see men represented as being normal. Yes, they can be bad. Yes, they can be strong. You know, they're these strong, badass guys, but at the same time, they're people. You know, they're still going through the same emotions that anybody else would in an apocalypse. So I thought that scene was awesome. Yeah.
Phil, man, you got a favorite performance character?
Pedro Pascal's Joel. I don't really think I need like any elaboration on that. I mean, like I said, he was the draw for me from the go. But I mean, to take it on to someone else, I did like the actress they actually initially had who did the mocap for Ellie, played her mom in the series in the last episode. She gave a hell of a performance there. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
In and of itself. I would also say Nick Offerman and Storm Reed. They were also standouts as well, I think. But yeah, more or less like Pedro Pascal as Joel. He was the MVP for me.
All right, got you. Joey, what you got?
So I think like when you asked me about this, I tried to do like a thing where like Pedro and Bella were like, they were a given, you know? Like they're, of course, the best of the series because you spent every episode with them,
right?
So like, you know, obviously give them all the awards, but like I tried to like kind of dig past that and be like, okay, but what, you know, one-off character or whatever. And I think Lamar Johnson as Henry really stuck out to me. Like overall, he was just fantastic, and he played that role really well. You know, the protective older brother, and but like also at the same time, he was still like kind of a scared kid because it's just like, you know, all of a sudden you're thrust into this world and you have your younger brother to look out for, and it's like, you know, you gotta like Jamie, like you were just talking about, like kind of being that masculine dude, like, okay, I gotta buck up for him because I can't show any signs of weakness, because when I do, that's when he is in danger.
Not to interrupt you, but they said that in the episode when the dude said, you know why he's scared? Because you're scared. You remember that shit? We'll continue. Go ahead. And
but dude, the scene in episode 5 and the very last scene, and we knew it was coming, and I still like cried like a baby. But when in the game, when that happens, he kind of has like a couple lines of dialogue that are, you know, he like blames Joel and he's like saying, you know, that was my brother, all that stuff. But like for some reason, specifically Lamar Johnson's performance, where he just keeps saying, "What did I do?" is just so heartbreaking and so just brutal, and it really kind of drove that home for me. I think he was probably my favorite performance. But also like Nick Offerman, I love him. Like he was great as Bill, and yeah, like those are the ones for me.
Nice. Let's see. Let's shout out the chat real quick. It's James Jerry. What's good? Hey guys, man. I was having last week's lunch on to the third episode, and I have been crying almost every episode.
Yeah, I feel that.
It will do that to you. Rhea was good. Happy Saturday, y'all. Was good, Rhea. Appreciate you stopping through. He says, and yes, that scene she is talking about where Joel is breaking down. Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. That's the kind of things that like there's certain things like that in the game, but man, it sounds to be like Neil Druckmann, like he wrote the material, but like they made the game because certain things had to be made a certain way because it's a video game. So if with certain missions, like they have to be like missions as opposed to scenes, if that makes sense. But like it felt like once he got he's like, oh, now finally the stuff I wrote for that game, I can sort of expand upon it, or other ideas I had about that material. I can put it in this because it's different than the game. You know what I mean? So, and that's that. Oh man, that is that.
I was reminded of another one by Jamie, like the scene in the last episode where he's talking about how Joel was talking about how he was the man who missed.
Yeah,
bro, that like
so sad.
That was kind of a gut punch because that was not in the game. Like they did that. None of that was talked about. I think that was a really good addition to the show, and yeah, just overall his performance as Joel, like it was just another great moment to think about.
Yeah, it was. It's man. Obviously the second season they announced it after like just 2 episodes, so it's coming. Like we're getting that probably next year.
I was gonna say probably 2024.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. It's gonna be a while for they start filming. I heard that they're like scouting different locations because of where the majority of the second game takes place. We'll talk about that. When we get to the end, we'll talk about expectations for the next 2 seasons, because at least there's going to be 2. So obviously I know Jamie's talking about a scene, but did you have a scene that just stood out above all others in the entire series? Joey, what you got?
I think I want to say the scene in episode 8. When she's hacking David to pieces. Like she hit him more than she did in the game, and that's because, because Joel wasn't there to, which I get why they did that. That was fine with me. But that was just, you could feel that, like it felt so raw and like real. Like you didn't feel like you were watching a show. You felt like you were watching someone who was traumatized take out that anger and that frustration, and like that's what I think about when I think about Bella as Ellie. Like that scene right there was just like perfect. It was just really well done.
Yeah, no, it was. And I remember seeing after the which one was that? It was 7, right? Was that episode 7 or 6?
That was 8.
Oh yeah, 8. That's right. So like after 7, when they show the the preview for the next episode, I was like, yo, they doing this? Because look, if you play the game, you know that entire scene, that the entire place is on fire, and you're creeping around there, and it's such a claustrophobic type of environment where you're stepping on plate. They got plates, and if you play it on super hard, there's like mad plates. There's so many plates that I'm like, how do you finish this mission? Please tell. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. But I think when I saw that in the teaser, I was like, man, if they do it, and they pulled it off pretty much as best you can imagine they could do it. Obviously, besides having them in a full fucking green screen room they caught the stuff on fire that they could with keeping everybody safe. So I thought it was very well done. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So Jamie, you got a favorite scene?
I'll just piggyback off that for a sec. Like I was talking about, like with the men holding up, vice versa with the women. Like I was really, as somebody who hasn't played the game, I was expecting Joel to rock up and save her. I was begging for Joel to rock up before whatever was going to go on went on, and she did it herself. And that was so empowering that she didn't need a man to help her. She didn't need a guy to protect her. She did it herself. She killed this motherfucker because he was an evil C word. So like that was super empowering. And yeah, just as much as like the men being represented, I think that women were represented really well like that, showing that they too can, you know, fight off bad guys, something like that. But that wasn't my favorite scene. My favorite scene was the giraffe scene, because I didn't know at all that giraffes would even be in this, and I was getting really cross. I did a live reaction to it, and I was just saying, how could she have seen, like, why is she climbing up there? What could she possibly see from all the way down here? And I was getting a little bit cross. And then when they went up there and saw this like giraffe, I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And it was my favorite scene because Ellie was experiencing something that she's never experienced before. She's probably never seen an animal apart from the monkeys in her life. And seeing her happy was beautiful, but also seeing Joel see her happy was beautiful. And I feel like that was the turning, or maybe it wasn't, but I feel like that was the turning point where he was like, stuff it. Like, we don't need anybody else. We can just go back to Tommy's and live at the sanctuary, and you can be happy like all children should be, you know, and that's what every dad wants, their kid to be happy. So I feel like that moment there was probably the turning point where he was like, stuff the world, you know, like all I care about is you and your happiness. And yeah, that was really beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good one. Let's come on real quick. So many scenes. The first episode with Joel and Sarah, even though you know it's coming.
Oh yeah,
man, yo, it's crazy. All of the Henry and Sam scene when she was reading the letter to Bill. Yeah, that's all of those are like high points of the season. So Phil, man, you got a favorite scene?
Yeah, the scene where the lady is basically telling everyone once everything happens, just bomb it. Fuck it. There's no point. That was a nice addition. That was nice.
That was those, and it's crazy because I know I'm not the only person who said it, but they never sort of went back to that intro sort of little piece of film where they give you some backstory. And the first two that they did it on the first episode, which was incredible, like a news or a television broadcast from like the 60s or whatever. And then they went to that one. The most impactful, like Phil said, the second episode, once she goes in there and she pulls that shit out of that dude's throat that's moving, she drops it and she's like, yo, kill everybody here. But in the meantime, let me go chill my family.
Let me go with my family.
Before you kill everybody here, because by the way, since I was in that room, kill me too. Like that's the vibe I got from her too, was like, kill me too, because I was in that, you know what I mean? So as a scientist who absolutely understood what that meant, I was like, yo, this is and sadly that's the one thing I guess I can say. They didn't do that for the rest of the episodes. I
think they wanted to, but it was like probably a budget.
Yeah, it probably was, because I think they probably planned on giving every character a short, like little 5-minute piece.
Yeah. Before
each episode, but they weren't able to do that. But then they came back with a fucking roar in the last episode with Ellie's mom running through the woods, and that shit was incredible. That shit was incredible. And say, what's up, happy? I agree, Jamie did left from Bill made me cry. But yeah, and that was so yeah, I think for me, oh man, favorite scenes, there's so many. I did like the scene, even though it came straight out of the game, when Joel says you don't know what pain is, but her response is the same in the game, whereas I do know what pain is, because check this out. This has happened to me. My best friend, all of this stuff, which you see in the next episode after that when it comes to Riley and stuff. But I think the scene between Bill and Frank right there at the dinner table, that's that's cinema, bro.
Yeah.
That's absolute incredible. Just two great actors, great dialogue, and you understand sort of what's happening outside of their little bitty world that they have in this little compound that they've created. That scene in particular is something that I never expected to see in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very welcome to see that in the series, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it, but when I saw it, I was taken back by it. You know what I mean? And of course, my wife, she was done.
Yeah.
And afterwards, she asked, was that in the game? I was like, sadly, no. But there was something along the lines, but like, you know, it was one of those situations. But that scene is, yo, they could have been like, yo, for this one episode, we're gonna put it in theaters. Take my money, bro. I'm going to watch this right there. Yeah. That was
the saddest thing that I think. I mean, I've seen 7 pounds, and that was probably the saddest thing I've seen on TV.
That's another one, yeah. That
Yeah, but this
hard.
is probably second close to being the saddest thing that I've ever seen. And it's really deep because when you think about it, like you think about, you know, death and people's right to choose whether or not they want to die at the end of their life.
Right.
And it's a big topic to think about. But in an apocalyptic situation, like imagine if Frank had lived and Bill had died and Frank physically can't do anything for himself. Like imagine him living out the rest of his days in a chair where he physically cannot do anything. Like it's so sad, and he has every right to want to die. And yeah, just the way that they closed that and having them, you know, end their life like that was beautiful. And I know we talked about it before, Anthony, but even that shot where you never see them, like that is just so important. And the last scene that we see of that is, you know, they pan out of the window or pan into the window or something like that, and you just see the painting that Frank had made of Bill on the wall. And that's the final, well, not the final thing that you see of the scene, but the final thing that you see of that house, you know, is panning out from the bedroom and just looking at that photo that he painted when he was at his prime, and you know, in his moment of like love and happiness, that was the moment. So fire out, man. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Good.
It's, oh man, it is incredible. And that you mentioned that last shot of it, of you know, as Ellie and Joel get the truck and they peel out of there and they get, you know, go through the gate and leave, and it comes back through the window. I ain't gonna lie. When I was watching, I said, "Oh man, they're gonna show him." Like I thought he was gonna still be there or whatever. But yeah, what a very fucking great way. Because look, if you play the game, Bill is an incredible character. He's an asshole. He's fucking a shit talker. He is, but at the same time, and this is, you know, when certain people interpret the episodes different ways, you know, the way that he talks about Frank, you get the gist that this episode isn't just out of nowhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the relationship they put in this episode isn't just out of nowhere because of, you know, you hear Bill speak about Frank throughout that particular mission in the story. It's just incredible, man. And look, and I said this every single week we were doing the reviews, and I'll say it again. When it comes time for awards, bro, what they doing out here? Because there are Emmys for actors and actresses who appear in shows for one episode. Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
This one has several. There's several characters that, I mean, I've personally had like Kathleen, who appears in a couple of episodes, but there are a lot of fire actors and actresses that only appear in like one episode in this show. Like I'm eager to see if they get recognized for their work, because everybody was just incredible, man. Just dope, man. Yeah. I can't so we're gonna go with favorite episode. This is a hard one because they were all dope. So
yeah.
For real.
Joey, what you got?
I was hoping you were going to start with me.
Oh shit! Your goal.
I think I'm going to go with 5 because again, it had that scene with, you know, at the end with Henry and Sam, but also it had the scene where the clickers come up from under the ground. Oh my God. I've played that game, 1,000 times.
Yep.
And this still found a way to terrify me. Like, I don't even know what I would do in that. I just stand there. I'd be like, there's like 1,000 of them, and they're fast. Like in the game, they're pretty fast. But in the show, they're like sprinting. Now, in that one girl who was like the contortionist or whatever.
I'd
be like, oh, don't touch me. But like it was also just like, you know, that scene alone or apart from just being hype in general, it also played out really well because you had Kathleen talking, you know, kind of talking to Henry saying like, you know, kids die, can't escape fate, all this stuff, and then like seconds later a kid kills her. And it's like yeah, you can't escape fate. Like it's, you know, it's the yin and the yang. Like it's and like how everything played out was just really cool. And you know, because for a second they had them cornered, and I was like, the hell's gonna, I mean, I know that the clickers are gonna come up, but like for a second you're like, oh shit, is this how they kill Henry? Is this how, you know, this happens?
That's yeah.
And I was getting worried. I was like, no, you got to get to the scene. Like, don't do this. But dude, when the bloaters came out, and like, see, that was another perfect scene, because the only thing that was different was, well, I mean, you had Kathleen and Perry who were just new characters, but also like it was at night as opposed to in the game where it's during the day.
Yeah.
So, but like it still played out fine. But like, dude, the bloater, when that came out, and I was like, are we gonna see it? And then he takes Perry's head and just like just straight out of the game. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm gonna go vomit. Like
that's
like
great.
Just like, yeah. But no, just like the entire episode was really well done, and you know, was kind of the payoff for, I think, was it? Yeah, it was like episode 4. You know, they had the ambush and everything, and I think it set up a lot of stuff. And episode 5 was like all the payoff for that, because you know they hinted at how they drove the clickers underground. They, you know, teased Joel and Ellie meeting Henry and Sam. So I think just a lot of payoff in episode 5, and yeah, the emotional gut punch at the end was just really well done. So that'd be my choice.
Yeah, I think that's my same episode. Look, I love all of them, but that one did the most as far as when it came to taking the video game and putting it live action. Like there was a lot they had to accomplish with that thing, and it's crazy because I've heard people say like you don't really get an introduction for Henry and Sam. I was like, no, but in the game you don't really get an introduction. It's really short. Like it's a long mission, but in retrospect of the entire game, it's a short piece of it, which is how a lot of these characters play out in this game. Yeah, episode 5 was incredible. Seeing the behind the scenes stuff was dope. Just watching it at the time, I know I messaged Joey and was like, I can't even talk right now.
Yeah,
that was fucking fire. Like, especially the added, they're putting the trunk into the house and it blowing up and like sort of falling into that sinkhole. Man, you can't. I guess when it comes to favorite episode, which I'm not, you know what? I won't even say it's probably people who played the game specific, because a lot of people who have played the game love episode 5.
Yeah.
Jamie, would you like what was your favorite episode?
Episode 2. I really loved everything in that. Firstly, the banter and the chemistry between Joel, Ellie, and Tess. I just thought Ellie was really funny, and you really got a taste of her sarcasm during that. Like there was one point there where Joel was like, okay, fine, we'll take her to the Fireflies or whatever, but if she so much as twitches, and then she's like, like pretending to be a zombie, and I don't know if you're allowed to call them zombies in this, but whatever, pretending to be infected, you know, things like that. You really got a good sense of their humor and their banter and stuff like that. And same with Tess, she was straight to the point. I'm going to talk to you like an adult, she said. You know, like you really got a sense of these people from that episode. And then visually, I thought it was amazing seeing this dead city during the daylight, and then they went to the hotel, which was awesome, you know, having the water, and Ellie's like, I can't swim. You don't need to, sweetheart. Just dives, but like jumps in, like,
he's like,
okay.
He looks back at her like, ha, it's 2 feet deep, bitch. Like he literally looked back like that, like literally it's 2 feet deep. Like, because at that point in time he still hated her. Like, so it's like,
yeah.
I was gonna say he'd be like, you know, the only way you're gonna drown is if I do it. So like you're gonna be fine.
And yeah, so there was that, and then when they went up to the museum, and even there was like a scene that I specifically remember before they walked into the museum, and it was like a bird's eye view of them entering, and just the like the, I don't want to say greenery because I don't even think it was green, it was like dead, but like all the infected like vines or whatever you want to call it, like that looked so good. And then they went up there, and the scenes with the clickers, that was just scary. Like the whole time I was on edge with that. The sound, just gave me goosebumps, and I was like, I really want to
be quiet. It was
like you
wanted to be quiet because you're like, I don't want them to hear me.
Please don't touch me. But yeah, they looked. I mean, I didn't want to look at them, to be honest. But at the same time, I was like, what do they look like? Like I was so curious, and they were great. And then there was the scene where they, Ellie walks across the wooden plank, and that shot there was perfect.
Yeah.
And then the callback, or the start of the callback for the final episode, when they talked about the view. And you know, he said, was it everything that you'd hope for? And she's like, oh, it's got its ups and downs, but you know, you can't deny that view. Like, I just thought that whole episode, I mean, maybe not the kiss at the end, because that was a little bit too far, in my opinion, a bit gross, not needed. But I thought that whole entire episode was perfect from start to finish in every aspect. Yeah.
So were you like kind of upset? Were you getting really like attached to Tess at all?
Yes.
And being like, she's a great character, and then it's like, oh, she died. Okay.
Yes. And I was mad because, again, I haven't played the game, so I didn't know that she would die. And I was like, oh, they're so ballsy killing off Sarah in the first episode. Like, that's how you start an episode. You kill a kid. Walking Dead did it, and look where they got, you know? So I was really proud. And then the second episode, they killed Tess. And I was like, hey, I didn't sign up for every episode there's going to be a death. I said one.
Yeah, slow down.
Talk about this. So they killed the kid, so we already won. She's just like,
And then episode 2, fuck yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, that one, amongst the episodes in this, over the 9 episodes, you know, first season, that was one of the ones that was really close to the game. Like some of them veered from the game, but that was one of the ones that was like, yo, except for the kiss and stuff, that actually wasn't there. But at the same time, they did it. I think they did that a little bit better than the game when it came to that particular aspect of it. But yeah, it was dope. So Phil, you got a favorite episode, man?
Episode 7, I think, with Riley and Ellie. Yeah, that was probably my favorite. I messaged you. I was like, hey, put your coin or some shit, whatever the fuck the reference was to Mortal Kombat. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that episode I think had a lot of heart to it. You got to see how these kids like get to be kids for once in this fucked up shitty setting that is, you know, post-apocalyptic bloaters, floaters, all this clickers, all these, you know, fungi monster things running around and shit. Yeah, I like that episode a lot. And also Mortal Kombat. I like Mortal Kombat. But, you know, there's just something powerful, like when they see each other get bit, and then, you know, Riley's just sitting there just accepting it, and Ellie's just fucking throwing everything around, breaking shit, pissed off. And it's like, yes, that's exactly how you should react, because you think you're gonna die. But us knowing better, it was a nice little like secret origin story. 7 episodes into the show, it was cool.
As far as that one, that's like, and a lot of people didn't play that DLC until it came out on PS4, just because of it came out on PS3 in June of 2013. But by the time this DLC, and they have been promising this DLC for months, they're like, we're going to give you some DLC for The Last of Us. Well, when it released in January of 2014, the PlayStation 4 was already out, but the DLC was only on the on the PlayStation 3. So I remember having to play it. Luckily, I still have a PlayStation 3 at the house because I, you know, and played it. But no, it's dope. It's incredible. And when I saw the first sort of teaser for this show, and I saw just that one on the carousel scene from that, I was fucking overjoyed because I was like, I don't know if are they going to bring the DLC into this, and they did.
Yeah.
And the way that they did in bringing it in a couple of episodes before the finale, just to give you that backstory. That's again, the writing and the Neil Druckmann he's dope. I don't know what else to say. The dude, he's in this world and he understands like what fans like, and he understands that like if he was a fan watching this shit, that he would like to see it in this manner, because he put it in the perfect spot. Somebody who didn't know what the fuck they were doing would have put the Left Behind the film in the first episode, just so you can get that backstory instead of leading up to it like we got to do playing the game. So. It perfectly put in there. That's a good episode, Phil. That shit is, man. Just and then they put the masks on at the end. And dance. Come on, bro. Yeah. Like that. If you've ever played that DLC, and I've said it before. If you would have asked me, they're gonna put this DLC on live action. What do you think they're gonna leave out? Oh, no way they're doing the masks. No way they're gonna do the masks and them dancing on top of the thing. And they did it, and I was like, oh shit, this is It's incredible, man. So,
going back to what Phil said about like the kids just being kids, that was a really good episode for that because Ellie got to experience, and my whole thing throughout this thing, I love talking about Ellie experiencing things that she never got to experience, like being in a car, seeing a tank, all that shit that she wanted to see. And that episode did pretty much everything, like really quickly, sure, but she nailed everything, like she probably never had a photo taken in her life. She hadn't been to an arcade. She'd never been on a merry-go-round or carousel, whatever you guys call it. She probably never had Halloween. Like that wouldn't have been a thing. So yeah, experiencing all that was so cool.
Well,
and
Halloween's
that
like every day for them.
True. It's always horror. Yeah. So, and that episode there, I think that's where Bella like really. I thought, far out, she can lead a show. You know what I'm saying? Like before that, she was a great actor, but just the looks that she was giving Riley to show that she loved her, you didn't need dialogue. All of her expressions, just a simple look. You were like, oh, she loves her, or oh, she's thinking this. Like you gathered that just from her facial expressions. So I thought that's like what a performance to give, us to let us feel that through her looks was really good.
Yeah, and if you know anything about where part 2 goes, and going back to what you said about her leading a show, then yes, 100%, yes,
yeah. So that sort of leads me into the next thing I want to ask you guys about was like the future, man. Obviously, we know that they came out and said that the second game is going to be broken up into 2 seasons at least. So it's not going to be the same where with this particular season where it ended right like the game ended with that same exact question she asked Joel as far as what happened at the end there. We kind of didn't mention that, which is sort of the I can understand, like when we talked about favorite episodes, I can understand why the last one isn't, because that shit deals with some stuff. And I know Taco, I wish he could have made it. Taco, he was talking about when you play that final mission as Joel, like you have no choice but to do that shit. Like it's not one of those games where you're given a choice whether to walk in this surgery room and blow a motherfucker's brains out. You do that shit. Like there's no take the easy way out, because if you're really thinking about it in the context of what they've laid before you, there is no easy way out. You either come in there and murk everybody and take Ellie, or you do what what's her name wanted you to do as far as just letting that stuff happen, man. So when it comes to like, matter of fact, let me ask you, Jamie, what'd you think about that final scene when he kicks the doors in the operating room? Like, what?
Can we just talk about the scene before that where he comes in balls and all, just shooting everyone?
Yes.
That was so good, because my favorite thing about that was the sound. You saw him shooting all these people, but they like distorted that with that super awesome score in the background to make you feel like emotional, and to the point where the gunfire was sort of drowned out. You know what I'm saying? And that made that scene there was so good, just coming in, bossing everyone, and even people that surrendered. You know, he's like, nope, got him anyway. But yeah, you want to talk about the morals? Is that what you mean? Like, would I have done what Joel did?
How'd that hit you? Like,
yeah, I would have done exactly what Joel did, because my mentality is stuff the world. And let's just put this in, not just in my real life personally, but let's just put this in the Last of Us world. What has the world done for Joel? He's been shit on by the military, Fedra, whatever they're called. You know, like nobody's ever been good to him. They talked about the military that were raping, starving, all these things for people. Why would he want to save people? Why wouldn't he want to save the one person who he knows is good, who he knows has like tried her best in this shitty world that she's been given? Hands down, I would have shot everyone and more in order to save her, rather than her go through this procedure that may or may not be a cure. We don't know. And how does he know, or how does Marlene or any of the surgeons or whatever know that there's not somebody in Australia who's got a cure and it's going to come to them? Like, they don't know what's happening. So I would not risk my child, or the only person who I currently love, because let's be honest, you know, he doesn't really have a lot of people around. I mean, he can go back to Tommy, sure, but Tommy's moving on with his own family. So I would not risk anything, you know, for a maybe it'll work or maybe it won't, for sure.
Yeah.
I feel you. What you got, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when Jamie was talking about the just the montage, I guess, of him going up through the floors of the hospital, like, it really kind of stuck out to me, because in the game you're obviously controlling him, but like in the game it's painted almost as like, not that he's doing anything heroic, but it's still just like, this is the goal. Like, your goal is to get through the hospital, take everybody out. But when you're watching it and you're hands free, and you're watching this happen, you're like, oh, he's a madman. Like, whoa, okay, yeah, he's going on a rampage. And it's like, but I think I had to agree with Jamie too. It's just like, you know, this is the first surgery of its kind. You don't know if it's going to work, and it has to kill her.
Yep.
So like, what, you know, he already lost a daughter. He lost Tess. He lost a friend in Bill and Frank. You know, he's like you said, he's pretty much only got his brother, and he's not going to lose another daughter now that they've gotten to this point where he loves her. And you know, I'm not a parent, but I can assume, I think it's safe to assume that you would, you know, like you would kill an entire hospital for your child. Like, it's just, you know, so it's, when people say, like, you know, Joel made the wrong decision, I'm like, he could have maybe gone about it in a different way, but you know, you push him up against the wall, and he's a survivalist. Like, he just, that's just what he does. So like, I'm kind of of the same mind, just like, we don't know if this is going to work. I'm not letting you take this risk.
The situation would have been made entirely different. For one, if it was going to be, they can run these tests and do these things, but Ellie would still live. Yeah. That's number one, would have been different. And number two,
take some blood, you know, like drain her blood and test that first.
Yeah. And number two, I think if it was proven that this was going to work, then I think the situation, but no. You know, if I wake up in this place and I'm looking around and fucking Marlene's right there, like, yo, we going to do this thing. She can kill the world. We got to kill her. Marlene, that's me. Seriously, because I am a father, and I'm running through that house, and I just thought it was so impressive the way they did it, because I didn't even think about it before the episode, but after it was over, I thought, damn, I've replayed that certain part of the game so many times. I never thought about how would it look on screen. They did it perfectly, because you sort of can't. And I've always made this comparison. Like, you want to bore the audience out of their mind, have somebody hiding behind the counter for 7 minutes. Like, that's what you do in the game. You hide behind counters for a minute and wait. and then it depends on the difficulty you're playing it on. So it's like you can't do that in the show because people are like, "What the fuck?" So perfectly, they did it perfectly. It showed Joel being absolutely just fucking disturbing, bro. He was murking the cat, but that's what you do as you make your way to Ellie in the game. And so, the only thing differently he probably could have done because he kind of knocked the surgeon out, I guess, and took off with Ellie. But
at that point, he was seeing red,
because especially when you walk in there when he walks in there on the show, he's like, "I'm not gonna let you take her." He doesn't even look at him.
Yeah.
And he just keeps going. I'm like, yo. In the game, it's a little bit different, but it's the same sort of it's the same principle. The dude's telling her, well, we ain't gonna let you take her. You're like, really, motherfucker? I'm sitting here with an assault rifle. Really?
Yeah.
But that, and I got it. And and people have opinions just because he kills that dude. And you're like, damn, how many surgeons are actually alive in this world? You just killed the one of the last three, motherfucker. But it's still like at the same time, I'm just like, I got you. But I will say this, and Phil, did you have any thoughts on that little scene where Joel comes in there and murks the surgeon and takes Ellie? Like, any moral dilemmas, or you were just like, yo, I feel Joel 1,000%.
Fuck them doctors. Fuck them. Fuck them. I kind of feel Joel, man. Fuck that. Fuck all that shit. Like, you're like, oh, well, this might not work, and this girl probably is gonna die. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I will say this. Imagine the aftermath if he let them do that surgery. She died and the cure didn't work. He would have killed everybody in the world. Joel would have fucking went bananas and killed everybody. Yeah. Everybody involved, included, connected. You'd be like, yo, how the fuck did Joel make his way to Maine? He'd made his way there and killed somebody. If they weren't.
Call him Joel Wick.
He would have cut it.
Yes, that would have. That would have been it, Joel Wick, bro. That's All right, so going forward, look. Obviously, when it comes to the game, there's a lot of things that happen in this, and it's a bigger, broader game. I always talk about how the first one didn't require an install disc. This one, the second one does. Like, there's an install disc you have to put in to get the game on your console or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. I do like the fact that they're splitting it because I think that they're saving a certain event for the finale of the second season.
Yeah.
I think
all right, let's stop there. It's been spoiled for me. People have told me that Joel dies, so we don't need to beat around the bush there. I do know that he dies. People are dogs. So you don't have to beat around the bush with that.
Okay.
But,
so I think that's what they want the second season to end with that. Because
do you really think so? Because doesn't that happen very early on in the second game?
But also
we won't spoil how exactly it happens because the way they go about it is like it's good storytelling.
Okay. Fair enough.
Very good storytelling. Very good storytelling.
I have a little rebuttal to that. I think I know where the second season will end. So, not to spoil anything.
Yeah, don't. Apart from the obvious, yeah.
No. But Anthony, you remember in the second game, so they split Seattle to there's Seattle day 1, Seattle day 2, Seattle day 3 for Ellie. There's a scene in the theater where there's kind of like a there's a kind of a climactic scene in that. I think they ended there because they cut. I think they ended there.
You know what? You could be right. You could be, because what happens when it comes to Joel, that is very early in the game. But when they announced that they were sort of split, it's the game. The second game is going to be more than one season. I thought, okay, so this is, but woo, that's if that shit happens, I'm gonna tell you right now. For people who don't know, if all of a sudden just randomly in episode 5 of the next season that happens, holy shit! You know what I'm saying? That will blow. Yeah, that blow everybody.
People are going to be people are gonna like. They're still gonna be. If that happens, I think people are gonna be like still hyped about it, but they're gonna be pissed because it is such a cliffhanger. If you stop it right at that point,
Yeah.
like especially if if it takes even if for just a year. If they're like, all right, season 3 is coming next year, it's like motherfuckers.
Yeah. Nah. Let's see. Let's see what's in the chat. Let's see, that's going to Black Bear. You can call me by my real name. Wait, Hajima. I'm gonna do Japanese. Beautiful Japanese.
What up?
Hey, appreciate you coming through, man. Hope you like The Last of Us, man. We're talking about Ryan was good.
Ryan.
Yo. We talking about The Last of Us. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. But yeah. So the future of this series it's looking bright. I mean, obviously we're gonna be waiting until next year before we get like any sort of new footage or, I think they're gonna start filming towards the end of this year, and it's gonna be in a different place.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta do the time jump.
Yeah, they do, and I don't think that's a problem as far as the actors go with the time jump and stuff like that. I mean, you know, but yeah, it's funny that that's probably going to be one of the biggest guessing games going forward. Is like when the Joel shit's going to happen.
Yep.
Like if people are going to be good seriously, because in the game it happens so soon, you're just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
That's fair enough, but I just think that like Pedro is hot at the moment. You know, everybody wants him. He's in movies, Mandalorian, whatever. So I don't think that they would waste such a strong actor on killing him off so soon, similar to how they did in the game. I think that they will try and drag it out a little bit purely because of fan service. Like everybody seems to love him. Yeah, they're going to kill him off eventually. Like that's been told. It's a given. And I know that there's more story to tell. I get that. But yeah, I just don't think that they would want to waste something so good when they can drag it out a little bit longer.
I feel like if they pull the Scream route and, like Drew Barrymore, where they killed her off right away. Like
I feel like if they wanted to drag it out, they could address some time in between the 5 years between the two games.
Yeah,
true.
They can do some stuff like that. But
yeah. I think some of the, and here's what angered a lot of people, and me too. As I'm like, because I was one of the people who that didn't get spoiled for me before The Last of Us Part 2 came out. That didn't get spoiled for me. So when it happened, I was shocked and fucking blown away. Like, what the fuck? But I think especially in the game, right after that happens, guess who you have to play as for like 2 or 3 missions? Abby, dude, you're immediately just playing as Abby. You're like, what the fuck? Maybe they throw some of her backstory before, like, you know what I mean? Like mix it in with the stuff so that when you get, matter of fact, I think that might be better for the audience watching, is to see why she's mad at
Joel.
Joel is to see that happen, because we all saw it in that last episode. They fucking focused on that one doctor for far too long when that camera, and when he shot him in the head, they just zoomed on him for about 10 seconds and then they moved along. So I think whatever the case is, however they choose to do it, I'm on board for it, and I'm sure we all are. And I think this series, look, the ratings are one thing, and the reception is one thing, but as far as like, even if I hadn't played the game, I think I would genuinely like just enjoy what they put together for 9 episodes. And I don't know if they're going to stick with the 9 episode arc for every season, or if they're going to expand it or lower it. I mean, who knows? But
I mean, House of the Dragon's got a shorter season for season 2, so they might.
Yeah, they might just stick. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I have literally be like, yo, I'm happy you guys aren't going for quantity over quality. So if you feel like your story can be told in 8 episodes, then tell that shit in 8 episodes, man, and we'll be here to consume it. But final thoughts, Jamie. What's your final thoughts on The Last of Us, and when the season ended? How did it? What's the feeling it gave you after it was done?
Well, we were talking about that final scene there, at the hospital and stuff, and I said I agreed with Joel, but I don't agree with Joel with what he did to Ellie. Like I really hate liars. That's my one pet peeve. So the fact that he lied to her at the end, there I was like, oh, you've built up this trust through 9 episodes. We've got to this point where he trusts you and you trust him, and you're just crumbling that. So that ticked me off. And yeah, I left going like, okay, so what now? You know, like, do they go back to Tommy's? What happened? I mean, I know that ultimately, eventually he would die. And I mean, they were leading up to that because there were many times where he was having a panic attack and holding his heart. And I thought, is he dying? And then when he did get shanked and he was like lying on the ground, I remember I was texting Tarko and I was like, is he really dead? Like, is that how they're going to end it? Because that's bold too. So I know that we're eventually leading to that, but I'm excited for the story that's going to come before we get there. Because yeah, if it was anything like this season, it was, I know Joey didn't want to mention it before, but use the word perfect, but I think it was pretty damn perfect. Pretty close.
It was. Joey, man, final thoughts?
Yeah, final episode wise, like I was lucky enough, you and I got to watch.
Yeah, we got to watch it together. Yeah,
and it was just kind of like a little bit of a numb feeling because it's like, oh damn, it's over. But it's just like, dude, it was so well done, and like to experience that was great. And yeah, I agree with Jamie. I've never really liked how Joel went about, swearing to Ellie that everything he said was true and all that stuff.
Right.
But it's like, it's that idea of like clinging to the things you love and like holding on with that white knuckle grip of on that desperation. But I mean, I don't know what else to have for a final thought other than, yeah, it was a perfect first season. And, I'm really excited to see where, how exactly they handle things from here. And hopefully it's not 2 more years or anything then that we have to wait
for. Yeah. Phil, you got some final thoughts, man?
I mean, not really, not too much to add. I mean, it was a fun ride, fun 9 weeks. It was cool seeing Pedro Pascal take charge again. It was, I enjoyed it. I'll probably watch season 2. I'm not the super fan that you guys are, but yeah, I'll definitely tune in for part 2. The 3 seasons that I'm guessing it'll probably just be like a 3-season miniseries. That's my guess. Because they've talked about they've teased what their next game is, but they haven't like outright teased what it is.
Yeah,
like they've talked about that they're making another game, but they haven't said what their next game is. And I'm just like, well, then what the fuck is it? Is it Last of Us 3 or is it something else entirely?
It's the next one is they're releasing an online universe of The Last of Us. So basically, you create a character and you survive in this world. That's which is dope. I'm gonna play it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. As soon as that releases, my ass is sitting here creating a character playing in that fucking game. But it's pretty much an online experience in the world of The Last of Us. And they put out like a couple of screenshots. Remember that shit, Joey? Like a couple months ago, was it E3 or whatever the last little video?
Not E3. E3's canceled.
That's banned.
Well, no, but like the last one when they.
It might be Sony, the PlayStation one.
Sure.
They just showed a couple, like 2 screenshots of the sort of world they're building. It's all online, and it's you meet up with your friend, you create yourself a faction, create a community if you want, and defend yourself from people. Or it's probably other people who are like coming to take your shit. So so that's the next thing. I mean, it's probably a couple of years off. So. And look, I do like the fact that when Neil Druckmann was asked about a third The Last of Us game along the continuity with Ellie, he said, if we have a story to tell, then we'll make another game. But if we don't, then we're not going to force some shit. You know what I mean? It's just incredible because when they announced the second game, I was like, please be, you know what I mean? Because they made a lot of money on the first one. And I'm sure people, like right now, I guarantee you there are a lot of people telling me, yo, make another game, bro. Make another game at the height of The Last of Us popularity.
HBO is probably like, you guys can go ahead and make another game.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that they are not going to do it unless they have a fucking story that's going to be that's going to be worth making another game is dope to me. So, yeah, no, I feel y'all. At the end of the episode, the lie is. I remember the first time I ever played that game, and after he lies to her in the car, then when they get to Tommy's camp and they're right there, and she says, "Yo, be real, Joe. Like, what the fuck really happened?" He said, "No, I promise you, this happened." And I was like, "Oh man, if he ever has the answer to that." And boy, does he have to fucking answer to that shit. So I ain't gonna put that shit out there. But whenever that takes place in the second season, holy shit, that's gonna be that. You know what? Whenever that takes place, that will probably be the highlight of both of those actors in the second season. Is that scene because it's such a fucking good. It's such a good scene. So, I appreciate y'all for jumping on here, man. I appreciate y'all. This has been a great conversation, man. I love this show, and when it comes out on 4K, I normally don't buy series on physical media until like the entire series is done, so I can get like a box set. This is one of the ones I might have to go ahead and grab that shit.
Well, I mean, it's fitting, the game came in pieces. Why not get the series?
Yeah, hey, there you go. There you go, Phil. See, Ryan says, what's that? We need more effective season. I think they're going to amp it up, man. They'll ramp it up for season 2.
I'm pretty sure they said like clickers are going to be more. There's going to be more of those in season 2.
Yeah. I think the decision they went with to character build more than action in this first season was dope.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's fire, absolutely fire. So that way, when you go forward, I mean, there's a couple of characters they're going to build.
Dude, wait till hopefully they do it, but wait till we see the Rat King.
Yeah.
Remember that from?
I have no idea.
2?
I'm just agreeing because you're just agreeing.
You'll know when you see it. But I don't want to ruin it, but it's brutal.
Yeah, it is. It's that entire game is fucking. If they put even not, I mean, story wise, yes, but even some of the stuff that you have to do to make it through that game, holy shit! Bella Ramsey, Emmys.
All in the future.
For that, if she does, she'll be getting them. But anyway, I appreciate y'all for coming on here. This has been an absolutely incredible fucking discussion. Cool. As always, Joey and Phil, you guys are always on. Jamie, you're welcome back at any time. Anytime you want to come back, you are welcome. Great addition to the panel. And see y'all next time.